Welcome to the race briefing for the JD Duathlon series to be held at Mandeville. Special thanks to Duathlon Drainage for supporting the series. Race number 2 is going to be slightly different, operating under level 2 COVID alert guidelines. We will have a socially distanced race. So first up, the main change is the starting procedure, which we will go through shortly. The race will be starting from 9:15 for all events excluding the kids race. They will start separately at 9:40. We'll go through the starting sequence in a moment. Some of the general guidelines that we are going to be following at this event, and we want you to incorporate into your day, is to keep your distance from other people, aiming for a 2-meter gap at all times. Wash and sanitize your hands frequently, especially whenever touching surfaces. Sneeze and cough into your elbow. Keep a track of where you've been and who you've seen. Please make sure that you scan the COVID-19 Tracer app QR code that will be on display at the event in several locations, and will also be emailed out to athletes as well as put on our Facebook page. Consider wearing a face covering if you have one, and if you can, before and after the event, obviously not during. Some of the steps we've taken to make sure that you can have a socially distanced event are having a very large transition area, so there'll only be a couple of bikes per bike rack. We'll be doing a wave start system with 5 athletes at a time. We're going to minimise the number of non-participating people on site, so that means less marshals, and we're discouraging any spectators from attending. If you are a parent who needs to transport a child to the event, we do request that only one parent attends. We will only be allowing athletes into the transition area and one marshal, and then we are going to minimise any gatherings by having no race briefing, no coffee cart, no prize giving, etc. So essentially coming in, doing your race, and then departing. Please be aware that all entrance contact details have been saved and will be passed on to the Ministry of Health should there be any positive COVID-19 cases connected with anybody that attends this event. So first up, registration. If you competed in race number 1 at Ruapuna, hopefully you have retained your race number, so there is no need to re-register on Sunday. So just simply go to your find a space in transition, set yourself up, and you are good to go. If you did not do race number 1, please go to the Canterbury Tri Club tent to pick up your race number, and likewise if you have lost your number, go there and you can get a replacement. Next up, toilets. The public toilets are located next to the club rooms on the far side of the playing fields. There are some additional toilets by the squash courts. Obviously, please make sure you use the hand sanitizer or wash your hands whenever you're going in or coming out of the toilets. This is a manually timed event, which means you don't have a timing chip or anything like that. We don't record any splits. The main thing you need to understand is you need to have your number clearly displayed on your front at all times. And also with this particular race, given we are doing wave starts, it's essentially a time trial. You need to push all the way to the finish, because the people that are around you as you're going through the race may well have started at a slightly different time. So main tip, push all the way to the finish. Teams that just have your runner wearing the number. Onto the start, this will be quite different to what we've experienced at other races. In the middle of the field we will have lines of cones and marshals assisting athletes to line up. You'll be able to refer to the start list, which will have your exact start time. You'll be lined up in groups of 5, keeping your 2-meter gap between your fellow participants, and then at 9:15 we'll be starting the event. Every 20 seconds 5 athletes will start. You'll run across the field towards the hurdle where you go over the fence, and then you will rejoin the original race course and carry on with your day. The run course laps, other than the slightly different start we're having, are all the same. You'll be coming down the access road towards some car parks. When you go into the second shingle car park, you'll be making a right-hand turn through a gate. There will be a marshal at this position and some cones and arrows directing you to the right. Then you'll run across the field that you can see in this image here to a turnaround point. When you are doing this out and back section, please keep to the right on both directions so we don't have any head-on collisions. Once you come back through the gate and past the marshal and the cones, you can cut directly across the grass and then carry on with the rest of the course, where you'll run down a bit of a shingle road past some storage sort of containers, and then you'll pop back out onto the main field area, run down to transition, and either get onto your bike, finish your race, or head out for a second lap. Please note there is a section where you have to jump over the fence on each of your laps, and as well as after the start. Just be careful when you do this, we don't want anybody pulling a hamstring. Bike course at the JD Duathlon at Mandeville is relatively straightforward. It's completely flat, the roads are not closed to traffic, you need to keep left at all times and pass on the right. You must obey the road rules and give way to traffic. And make sure you count your laps and be very aware of the entry point back into the Mandeville Sports Centre. We will have some signs out, but some of the country roads do look fairly familiar. So once you have collected your bike from transition, you have your bike helmet on, you can run or walk your bike out of transition, and do not get on your bike until you've passed over the mountain line, and then you go and complete your bike laps. It's a straightforward course with left-hand turns all the way, so you're going down Mandeville Road, turning left into McHugh's Road, left into North Air Road, which is quite a hard left into Logan's Road. There won't be a marshal on that corner, because if you go straight, you go onto the shingle. There will be a sign there, so it should be nice and clear. Then you're turning left into Mandeville Road, which will bring you back to the transition area, where you turn left into the Mandeville Sports Centre or carry on to do your extra laps. The distances and laps for each of the different races: if you're in the open or teams race, you're doing 2 laps on your opening run, 3 laps on the bike, and 2 laps on your closing run. For the novice and junior athletes, you're doing a 1 lap run, 2 laps on the bike, and 1 lap on the run. And for the youth athletes, you're doing 1 lap on the run, 1 lap on the bike, 1 lap on the run. So hopefully relatively straightforward. Remember to count your laps on the bike and make sure you know where the entry point is into the Mandeville Sports Centre. For the kids 5 to 9 year olds, we will be doing a short bike run on the grass within the sports grounds. I will brief these athletes on the start line. Please make sure you're really familiar with the transition area, as we'll have less marshals on site on race day to try to keep our overall number of people on site down. So when you're completing your first run, you'll come in at the southern end of the transition area, grab your bike and run out at the opposite end. When you're completing your bike leg, there'll be a channel on your left as you come into transition. You'll need to run down that channel, pull a U-turn, park your bike, and then exit for your second run at the same end where you exited for your bike. This makes it nice and fair for everybody. We have to run your bike the same distance, and you'll also see that the finish line will be situated alongside transition area. The kids race will have a completely separate transition. The kids race is best explained on race day when I have all the kids on the start line, but in essence they'll do a opening run leg around a series of cones. They'll come back to their transition area, which will be separate to the main transition area. Then they'll complete 1 lap around the outside of the whole sports field, park their bikes up again, and then complete another lap of the run course, and then run down the finishing chute. We like to keep a fairly low-key approach at the JD Duathlons, but there are a few rules and other items you need to be aware of. Firstly, if you have any medical issues, we'll have St John on site. They'll either be located next to the registration area or alongside transition. A few of the rules: on the bike course, no drafting is permitted. That means you need to leave a 7-metre gap between yourself and the rider in front, so around about 3 bike lengths. So just be nice and honest out there. If you're drafting, you're cheating. Your helmets need to be worn at all times during the bike leg, so when you come into transition you must put your helmet on first before you touch your bike, and you must keep it fastened until your bike has been re-racked. In terms of the run, you cannot have any music devices whatsoever when you are on the run course, and you need to remember to have your race number displayed on the front. Other than that, we want you guys to have a really good day out there. Remember to obey the road code and be polite to athletes out there. Try to keep your social distancing and have a good time. There'll be no prize giving after this event. We have a series prize giving after race 3. Results will be posted on jdevents.co.nz, usually on the same day as the race, as long as we don't have any challenges. All of the information you've heard today will be available via the website, where we have the full race manual available to read through at your leisure. So have a great day, and fingers crossed we'll be back to a easing of restrictions come race 3 at Orton Bradley.